Okay, I know these look like wolf ears, but they're actually raccoon ears because I'm obsessed with trash. It's essentially like, hi, I'm Laura. I'm a recovering perfectionist. There's a lot of curiosity around the trash account. And I admit, like, I was very flippant about it because I am very flippant about it. When I started the 365 days of figure drawing, I created a trash account because I knew that even though that day I was feeling very confident, oh man, I could totally do this for an entire year and it's going to be great. I knew there was going to be a lot of days that were bad days. And I didn't feel comfortable putting that on my main Instagram account because I thought that was like part of my brand. For my own sake, I created a trash account. And this trash account is essentially literally everything that I've done in the last about a year or so, since, year since March, February. So I didn't really tell people I was doing this. I just got to a point with my figure drawing where one day I was like, that's good enough. That's good enough. All right, now I'm just going to do these for a whole year and I'm going to post them. But I'm not going to post them on my main account because my main account has a brand associated with it and there's a quality of expectation. And it's still silly, but I still kind of have that idea in my head. So I created a trash account where I post things that I am not proud of. I am not proud of how they turned out. And at the end of the day, that's like so much of what art is. It's so much experimentation around what is going to work both technically and in terms of what you're doing. It's great to have a place where all of those drafts, all of those experiments don't just get thrown into the void of my own mind or into the trash can, literally. Like a lot of people think that art is simply something that is like very formulaic. But to do anything that's really, really compelling and interesting, you have to be experimenting. And there's a really interesting push and pull between that experimentation and kind of the resistance that people have to that, specifically the resistance that businesses have to that, because it's really hard to run a business on experimentation. It's why you just see these peaks and valleys with God Save the Mouse, with Disney and their Disney Renaissance in the 90s, and then not quite sure what they're doing until they bought Pixar, and then not quite sure what they're doing, and then they bought Marvel, and now they're not quite sure what they're doing. It's tough to make a business out of art. The two don't really mix because good art is so full of waste. And if there's one thing that business wants to do, it is eliminate waste. So what the trash account essentially does is it shows that there is a great deal of experimentation in both growth and execution. So it's just valuable. It's just valuable just to be aware of what exists, that things aren't just masterpieces, don't just happen. There's so much that goes into them behind the scenes. There's so many bad ideas. There's so many drafts. There's this funny thing about like trying to get better at something that is subjective. So let me rephrase that. There's this like curve that you go through as you're trying to get better at, in this case, art. I'm sure you're here for art. And when you first start out, you're like copying a masterpiece and you're doing a great job because you're copying it. And you get to a point where you're like, man, I'm like pretty good at this. And then your taste gets better and better and better, but your skills do not improve at the rate that your taste is getting. And you cannot keep up with what you are expecting yourself to produce because you can see good art and you can identify good art, but you cannot create good art yet. And I'm not trying to keep here, like everyone's an artist, etc. But specifically, I'm talking about the struggle of trying to improve with certain skills within art. Specifically for me, it's illustration. Of course, this exists within every like every little micro niche, like sculpting or something. But eventually we have this idea that we're going to get to a mountain peak and just be like, I have arrived. Like, this is it. This is it. I can art. And I think because of the changes that happen with us over time, as well as what society is responding to and excited about what's happening geopolitically, where technology is and moves. I feel like that mountain peak of success is just constantly shifting, and maybe you'll get there for like a short period of time, but you get to the top of one mountain and you see the next one in the distance, and it's bigger. It's something that has really helped me deal with perfectionism and the expectations that I have for myself. And so it's really, really nice to be able to look back on that whole reel of everything that I've done and actually see the improvement, even though at the time it is embarrassing. It has the shame. But hey, that's also another really good thing about having created a trash account. I hate the feelings of embarrassment and shame, but it's really good to get used to them. And to be honest, the more that I'm feeling it, especially on a small scale without any real consequences, the easier it is to just dismiss them as a whole. And for me to just then take more risks, both in terms of what I'm creating and in my life as a whole. Like, it's really helped me tackle a little bit of that hesitance, a little bit of that risk aversion. I'm a bit more of a risk taker, I hope. I think maybe that's why I'm here making videos with raccoon ears. But another thing that I think that the trash account really does highlight is it highlights the journey. And I think that's really, really helpful for people that are also on this journey to see, one, you are not alone. Like, everyone that is trying to get better at this is like struggling as well. And we're all just like in different places on different sides of the mountain, just struggling. And it's nice to know that you're not alone, that people don't just create genius out of thin air. There is so much work that goes into it. And that's really nice for people to see. It's also really, really nice for businesses to see. And businesses are made of people, but I think that business and art are rather incompatible because there's so much experimentation that goes into creating something new, different, exciting, and cool. And it is incredibly wasteful in terms of how much time and money is spent. It's why movies and video games are like constantly going over budget and exceeding, like blowing past deadline after deadline. Like, in order to create something new and different, exciting, there is so much junk that is created. There is so many drafts. And I think it's really, really helpful for us to acknowledge and recognize and see so much of what I call the trash, when it comes to my own expectations around the level of quality that I want. It's a lot easier for me to dismiss subpar work or even something that was like experimental and just be like, whatever, it's trash and it's going into the trash account, and that's fine. It's really nice. It's really just, I think at the end of the day that one should not strive for excellence. One should simply strive to be prolific. Just constantly take a swing at things. We, like, the internet now, with the development, with the rise of AI, what that means is that there's so much content out there. Like, one, don't even sweat it. No one's going to see your trash because there's so much AI generated artwork. It is a universe. We are grains of sand in a universe of AI generated imagery. So don't even stress out about that. Who's going to see it? I don't know. Maybe you'll tell people about it. It's up to you. I didn't tell people about the account. Some people found it, and it's surprising how supportive people are. It's kind of nice because it's just a surprise. It's surprising that, I'll constantly turn out stuff that I'm not particularly proud of, and other people will be like, that's cool. Way to go, Laura. Thank you. And that's nice. Like, I was surprised at how, because it's a trash account, and because there's just a swamp of AI generated imagery, it's not like there are any haters that are jumping in there and just being like, you suck, this sucks. It's not that people are just generally nice. It's just that with the swamp of AI generated imagery, no one's looking at it. Nobody cares. And that is really freeing. Yeah, in short, if you're struggling with perfectionism, just embrace the trash. Be like a little trash panda. Like, make a trash account. Instagram is dying anyway. Live fast, eat trash.